Good afternoon, everyone, and thank you for joining us. It's great to be here with Jason Nixon, Minister of Assisted Living and Social Services, and we're joined by Dr. Sayeh Zielke, the Executive Chair of Assisted Living Alberta, and Feisal Keshavjee, who is the Chair of Alberta Continuing Care Association. As seniors become a larger share of Alberta's population, the continuing care system must grow alongside it, so our seniors can age in comfort and dignity and outside of hospitals unless they truly need to be there. Our government is pushing hard to ensure that it does. Since 2019, we funded the development of more than 3,000 continuing care spaces, and with 2,200 spaces currently under construction or being renovated to be brought back online, in addition to the 1,500 new spaces funded by the $400 million investment Minister Nixon and I announced in December with the introduction of Alberta's Assisted Living Framework, we have 3,700 more continuing care spaces coming online in the immediate future. And as announced in December, our government is driving the largest continuing care expansion in Alberta's history, committing billions of dollars to build 1,500 more continuing care spaces every year for the next decade. Of course, it's not enough for the system to just be bigger. It has to work better, too. And thanks to our ongoing refocusing of healthcare, communication between health departments is the best it's ever been, and the results are undeniable. We've reduced the number of patients that are waiting for non-acute treatment in hospital by 23% since September. We call those ALC patients, alternative level of care, and that's gone down once again by 23%. In fact, we've driven the proportion of these patients down to less than 15% of the province, across the province, which is well below the national average of 20%. And we've reduced the number of patients waiting for continuing care by 40%, using our existing resources to their full potential as we work to expand the continuing care system. Importantly, this progress continued throughout respiratory virus season, despite historic trends showing an increase of patients in hospital beds during respiratory virus seasons in years past. And none of this would have been possible without the close collaboration between the different pillars of our healthcare system, or without the daily discussions taking place between health ministers themselves. We are doing record volumes of surgeries, nearly 320,000 in 24-25, and we're working to do still more in the coming year. We have improved the wait times for lab work by 40% since 2023, even while volumes have increased by 15%. A record 96 million tests were done last year. All those services are provided by the skilled and dedicated people working in the lab services, and we're adding those people literally by the thousands. Since 2019, we have added 2,000 doctors, 12,000 RNs, 3,400 LPNs, and 1,300 paramedics. And we're going to keep on adding skilled people by expanding our training programs. From 2020 to 2030, we're increasing RN grads by more than 25% and LPN grads by 80%. And we're expanding our faculties of medicine to train 100 more doctors. And we are retaining our people with pay and benefits that are among the best in the country. I was pleased to see the last major collective agreement in the health sector was ratified at the end of January, and that was the General Support Workers for AUPE. We now have 6,362 family physicians registered across the province, an all-time high, and an increase of a third over the last decade. We also have 1,137 nurse practitioners with active licenses, another all-time high. And more than 800 of those doctors and nurse practitioners are taking new patients right now. You can go check that out on the Find a Doctor website. The latest statistics from the College of Physicians and Surgeons are that we are gaining doctors in Alberta at a rate faster than population growth, which is a major win and will help Albertans to find family practitioners. Since the peak in 2023, opioid-related deaths have declined about 39% in Alberta. We have funded new and uplifted about 800 community-based treatment beds. We've opened over 270 new beds in 4 recovery communities, with another 375 beds expected to open this year in 5 new facilities, with 2 more recovery communities still to come. On top of that, we are adding 300+ beds that are being built for severe substance use disorder and complex mental health issues through compassionate intervention. Treatment is available at no cost to patients or to their families. Additionally, we have focused on expanding addiction treatment to Albertans facing addiction through the virtual opioid dependency program. That means they can get Suboxone or Sublocade at no cost with no wait list. It truly is a testament to the importance of untangling the web that was Alberta Health Services and allowing focused attention on each pillar of the province's healthcare system so that we can provide a responsive, patient-centered system that delivers Albertans the care they need when and where they need it. So today, I'm pleased to announce the next step in that journey, a step that makes things simpler to both patients and their families. It's something that I've been talking about with Feisal since the first moment I met him 3.5 years ago. So it was a little bit of time in the making, but here we are today. Supporting a loved one as they age can be stressful. And trying to understand the supports that are available to them, selecting the best option for your family can feel overwhelming. Albertans deserve to know the healthcare and assisted living options available to them without endless searching and the stress that goes along with it. And that is why we have created the Assisted Living Navigation Portal. It is an online tool that acts as a one-stop shop for Albertans to see the assisted living supports in the province and make informed decisions with their families about what options best suits their needs and preferences. It makes everything from fees and services to availability clear and easy to understand. And in the near future, we'll expand the portal to include home and community care wraparound supports and other services. Minister Nixon has more to say about this, so I just want to add one more thing. It is all part of a larger effort. Our government is taking the lead on fixing a problem that the country has complained about for 30 years. Capacity has not kept up with demand. The healthcare system is confusing to navigate, and everyone suffers the consequences. Our solution is moving to European-style long-term care. There are fantastic examples in Scandinavia. For instance, Sweden has a universal, decentralized system with a mix of public and private providers. The Swedes encourage competition by putting a priority on user choice and person-centered care, and we're looking to them for inspiration. In fact, I'll be going on a trade mission there in the next couple of months because we want to get this right. Because at the end of the day, practicality is more important than ideology. The system should work for the people it serves, no matter who they are, where they live, or what their income is. It should always afford them dignity, security, and comfort. Reaching this standard will take time, but we won't stop until we do, because Albertans expect it and they deserve it. So with the launch of the Assisted Living Navigation Portal today, we are one step closer to that goal. And now I'll turn it over to Minister Nixon to tell you more.
Thank you, Premier. Good afternoon, everyone. I'm pleased to be here with Premier Smith, Dr. Zielke, and Feisal Keshavjee to launch the Assisted Living Navigation Portal. When you look at Alberta's demographics, it's clear that our population is both growing and aging. Right now, Alberta is home to over 865,000 seniors. By 2035, Alberta will be home to more than 1 million seniors. And in 20 years, 1 in 5 Albertans will be a senior. That's why assisted living is such a critical part of the conversation when we talk about Alberta's healthcare system. And it's why it's more important than ever that Albertans have a clear understanding of what supports are available for them and their loved ones as they age. Since we stood up Assisted Living Alberta this September, my ministry and the team at Assisted Living Alberta have been laser focused on making sure that Albertans are receiving the care they need, where and when they need it. We've taken a multifaceted approach from strengthening home care and non-medical supports to working to understand proactively to address factors that continue to provide conditions that ultimately keep people in acute care. And significantly working to help folks who no longer need acute care transition out of hospitals and into care that they need in the community. Premier Smith highlighted the system-wide impacts of this work, but the benefits to communities cannot be overstated. For example, earlier this month, right here in Calgary, focused efforts and a collaboration across teams from Assisted Living Alberta to AHS and continuing care operators saw great success in helping ALCs transition out of hospital and connect them to appropriate care in community. In less than 2 weeks, this collaboration resulted in a 23% reduction in the number of hospital beds in Calgary occupied by folks who no longer require acute care. And that's on top of the more than 20% reduction in ALCs province-wide since September. In the last 5 months, through dedicated efforts, we've been able to reduce the number of Albertans who no longer require acute care in Alberta's 16 largest hospitals by more than 30%. Importantly, we've also driven significant reductions in the average length of stay individuals have in hospitals once they no longer require acute care, reducing long-stay ALCs in the province by 65% since October, meaning folks are in more comfortable settings as they receive the supports that they need. Because at the end of the day, Albertans shouldn't be left to languish in hospitals if they can receive the care they need in their own homes and in the communities. We've seen great success, but we're not slowing down anytime soon. We're building on this momentum. In December, Premier Smith and I announced the assisted living framework, our path to ensuring that we have a strong assisted living sector that can meet Albertans' non-acute needs so hospitals can remain dedicated to serving those who need the most. The framework drives results through our 4 key pillars. Supporting aging in place by expanding home care and non-medical supports to help Albertans age well in their homes and their communities. Connecting patients to the right care by focusing on strengthening pathways out of hospital and into community care for non-acute patients through improved diversion and discharge planning. Modernizing funding and fostering innovation by prioritizing patient outcomes and ensuring dollars follow patients, not beds. And the final pillar, building for the future, by driving the largest continued care expansion in Alberta's history, with our government investing billions over the next decade to ensure that we meet the demands of Albertans now and in the future. Then that brings us to today's announcement, the launch of the Assisted Living Navigation Portal. This portal is a key action item under the 3rd pillar of our assisted living framework, modernizing funding and fostering innovation. This portal is a user-friendly tool that makes it easy to locate and learn about the access to care accommodations and assisted living services available all across the province. It's designed for families who want to keep their loved ones close as they age, or for seniors who want to know their options for supports in the community that they have helped build. With plain language guides, frequently asked questions, and a step-by-step guide for how to begin the intake process, the portal makes the assisted living system easier to navigate than ever before. To use this tool, Albertans can simply fill out a short questionnaire to see suggestions based on their needs or browse options in their area on an interactive map. We have a short demonstration for you if you'll draw your attention to the screen.
The Assisted Living Navigation Portal is a new online tool that makes it easy for Albertans and their families to find the continuing care and assisted living options that best suit their unique needs. To use the portal, simply click Help Me Find the Right Fit and answer a simple set of questions to be provided with tailored recommendations based on the responses. These questions, which can be answered by a person looking for assisted living options or a caregiver, cover a person's current medical situation, how soon they may need care, and what their priorities and preferences are for care homes. When the questionnaire is complete, the portal provides guidance and recommendations based on the user's answers, along with information on how to connect with Assisted Living Alberta if an assessment is required. You can also use the portal by typing in a location or postal code to view detailed information about the assisted living options in the area. This will take you to the results page, which can be viewed as a map with pins representing each home or a list view. The portal's results page features clear and easy-to-read information on care homes, including the types of care provided, service fee amounts, and real-time availability of residential care spaces and related services. Next, simply click on each entry to view more details about a care home, including types of rooms, fees, amenities, site care, transportation, and more. The Assisted Living Navigation Portal is about helping Albertans get the right care in the right place.
With today's launch, the Assisted Living Navigation Portal gives Albertans access to a comprehensive directory of continuing care homes and supportive living accommodations in our province. And this is only the start. The portal will continue to be updated, adding information and capabilities over time to offer Albertans a responsive, dynamic portal for assisted living in our province. Future portal updates will add information about home and community care, giving Albertans access to the whole array of assisted living options available to them so they can make the decision that best suits their unique needs and preferences. Finding assisted living shouldn't be complicated, and with the launch of the portal, it does not have to be. As Albertans age, they should be able to easily see and understand the supports that are available to them and be empowered to make informed decisions about what care works best for them and their families. By making it easier for Albertans and their families to access information about assisted living options in the province, we are helping ensure folks get the right care in the right place, and we're ensuring Alberta remains the best place to live and age with dignity. Thank you, and I would like to now introduce to you for some comments on this our Executive Chair of Assisted Living Alberta, Dr. Sayeh Zielke, who I think, Premier, is who the stool was for, but I might be wrong.
Thank you very much, Minister. Helping Albertans find appropriate care for them in the right place, closer to people and communities that matter most to them, regardless of age, diagnosis, and duration of need, is the essence of the work we are here to do. Assisted Living Alberta strives to deliver care more effectively and consistently throughout the province, helping older adults, Albertans with disabilities, and vulnerable population maintain their quality of life and independence while supporting caregivers, family members, and friends. The Assisted Living Navigation Portal is a tool that can make it easier for Albertans to find the care and services they need in their own communities and no matter where they are in Alberta. With the help of this tool, those who need care and the caregivers who support them can better understand different care options, can see the kinds of continuing care homes and supportive living locations that exist in the province, and find out about the services, fees, and other features of these facilities to align with what might be the best for their own unique situation. At Assisted Living Alberta, our purpose is to help Albertans access a comprehensive, holistic system of assisted living with services that goes beyond the medical needs and connects Albertans with community and social services, and with resources that will make their lives more comfortable so they can stay in the place they prefer as long as possible. The portal is a crucial tool in advancing this work, making it easier than ever before for Albertans to see the continuing care and supportive living options available to them. And as the portal continues to have additional capabilities and Assisted Living Alberta services added over the coming months, it will support Assisted Living Alberta in our work to bridge the gaps between healthcare, social services, and other non-medical supports, allowing for more coordinated care for Albertans province-wide. I am proud that Alberta is the best place to live in Canada and age with dignity, and that doesn't happen by accident. By launching the Assisted Living Navigation Portal, Alberta's government is taking a meaningful step toward a more connected, accessible system, one that makes it easier for Albertans and their families to find the right care closer to home and with great confidence. That is something we can get all behind and be very proud of. With that, it's now my pleasure to introduce Mr. Feisal Keshavjee, the Chair of the Alberta Continuing Care Association, to the podium.
Thank you, Dr. Zielke. Premier, Minister, other guests, thank you for the opportunity to be here today. On behalf of the Alberta Continuing Care Association, I want to acknowledge the importance of this moment for Albertans and for the continuing care sector. As Alberta's population ages, with more individuals and families are navigating assisted living and continuing care options, often for the first time. These decisions can be complex, and people are not just looking for services. They're looking for clarity. They want to understand their options and make informed choices that align with their needs, preferences, and dignity. The 2021 Facility-Based Continuing Care Review recognizes clearly. It identified system navigation and access to understandable information as key gaps and recommended improving access to information to help Albertans better navigate continuing care. The Assisted Living Navigation Portal launched today represents a huge step forward in delivering on that recommendation. I'd like to share a story that reflects the reality many Albertans and their families are facing. Angela is an older Albertan living in Calgary who has lived with a physical disability for many years. After recent hospitalization, she began to consider whether she could continue living safely at home or whether supportive living might be the right next step. This was not just a clinical decision, it was a personal one. Angela wanted to make an informed choice about her future. Her sister Lisa stepped in to help. Lisa, like more than 1 million caregivers in Alberta, Lisa balanced caregiving responsibilities with her own work and financial stability. She found the system difficult to navigate with fragmented information and uncertainty about what supports were available to help Angela remain at home safely or what supportive living would offer. What Angela and Lisa needed most was clarity. A portal like this changes that experience. It helps Albertans understand their options, supports self-determination, and reduces the burden on families trying to navigate complex systems on behalf of loved ones. From the perspective of our sector, this is equally important. Our members provide housing, care, and support to tens of thousands of Albertans every day. When people have access to clear, reliable information, it supports smoother transitions, better alignment between needs and services, and more person-centered and sustainable continuing care system. The Alberta Continuing Care Association is strongly supportive of this important step. The portal will help Albertans access the right supports at the right time, strengthen confidence in the system, and help ensure Alberta remains the best place to age with dignity, independence, and choice. Thank you.
Thank you. We'll now go into our media Q&A. We'll start off with questions here in the room. We'll be taking one question and one follow-up, and then going to the phones as well. Reminder to please state your name and outlet before asking your question, and we'll go to our first at the mic.
Good afternoon. Kevin Green from CTV News. This question is for the Premier. My first question, your Chief of Staff this morning, in responding to a tweet about immigration levels in Canada, wrote, "Watch the address of the Premier Danielle Smith to Albertans tomorrow. This absolute insanity needs to stop. It will." That more than implies that tomorrow you're going to be announcing some changes to immigration in Alberta. What are your plans in that regard?
Well, we are going to be delivering the address at 6:45 tomorrow evening. There's a number of things that we're going to address, but I think it's no secret that a part of our budget challenges, number one, is on the revenue side, that we've seen a decline in our revenues as a result of WTI trending below $60 for most of the year when we need $74. But at the same time, our expenses have been growing faster than our revenue growth. And part of that is we've had the fastest growing population in Canada, adding 600,000 new people in the last 4 years alone. I think there's only one country in the world that has exceeded the level of population growth that Canada has had. And so this clearly needs to change. This is not sustainable. So I'll have more to say about that in the address, and then we'll begin the conversation with Albertans about what needs to happen next.
My second question is also immigration and Twitter related. A high-ranking staffer of yours, Bruce McAllister, tweeted this morning also about immigration, saying the people orchestrating this, he's talking about the high levels, the people orchestrating this reckless, unsustainable mass immigration into Canada fill me with profound disgust. To deliberately engineer and champion such explosive, unmanageable population growth in your own nation, ? That's the height of civic irresponsibility. Then he went on later to say, does their contempt for Canada's core values and traditions drive them to flood our borders with millions from societies not built on the same foundations that have made us thrive? Why import from nations with failed systems when our Judeo-Christian heritage and principles have worked so well here? I called Mr. McAllister this morning to ask for clarification. He hung up on me, so I'm asking you. My question is, do those views of Mr. McAllister about countries of origin and Judeo-Christian values represent the views of you, the Premier's office, and the United Conservative Party?
Well, I can tell you that Western society is based on the Socratic Judeo-Christian tradition. If you go back and look about why it is we have the society we do, there's no question that there are some foundational influences to that. However, Alberta was also created since 1905 based on the immense diaspora communities that come here. And one of the reasons why Alberta works so well historically is because when people arrive, they have a good paying job, have time to determine whether this is where they want to put down roots and have a family. That is the pace that I think works not only for the newcomer to understand the new society they're moving to, but also to ensure that we've got the supports so that they have access to the healthcare and education and other social supports they need. That system broke in the last 4 years. There's no question about it. And I think that the graph that they were responding to was one that showed, I think it was 6 million people that came to Alberta or came to the country in the post-COVID era. It's not just me saying it's unsustainable, it's the federal government saying it's unsustainable. They've completely changed their international student program, they've completely changed their temporary foreign worker program, and we're working with them to get refocused on economic migrants. So things need to change, there's no question about it. It was the #1 issue that we heard in the Alberta Next panel, is that it was putting too much pressure on our social services, on our job market, on our housing market, on food prices, and so we need to get back to the kind of more rational policy that we had under Stephen Harper, where we had a reasonable amount of newcomers that were able to integrate easily into the society that they chose, especially because they came with a good paying job. That's what we've got to get back to.
Thanks, Kevin. We're going to go to our next question.
Honest,
we had one question and follow up.
The question.
I know, Kevin. We got a few people in line behind you who'd like to get to the next question. Thank you. Go ahead next to the mic.
Hi, I just wanted to ask, we recently did a story about somebody, stuck in the hospital, an alternative level of care patient. I guess my question is, how would this help them? They've been told that, they're going to have to wait, that the staff are looking for spots. They basically don't have any available. So how would something like this help somebody who is waiting? Would it go beyond sort of what staff are already doing, or how would it help?
Well, let me tell you what we discovered when we first came in and we're trying to unravel this. One of the things we discovered is that a family is supposed to give their top 3 choices of the care facility that they want to go to, and then basically just be waiting and calling every day to see if a bed comes open. The care providers were sending lists to AHS, hoping that it would go somewhere and they would know that they had open beds. That's what we encountered. So one of the first things that the minister did was he went and did an inventory of all the beds that we were paying for and all of the beds that were available. And we moved to a system where there's a daily reporting. That's what we do in affordable in our homeless shelters. We're able to give you a bed count every night of whether those beds are moved. We do that in our rental housing that we manage. Absolutely, we needed to do it here. So that was sort of the first step: is how many beds do we pay for, and how many are left open? And then we've challenged the industry to have a fast turnaround. We believe that we should move to a 72-hour turnaround, hopefully ultimately a 48-hour turnaround, so that those beds become available. But again, there wasn't a system so that a person would be able to know when a bed became available, other than a very archaic, let's phone around and let's try to keep on getting updates on this by just sort of a manual way. So what this does, imagine that somebody has family. I can tell you my own personal circumstance. If my parents ever get to a point where they need to be looking for additional support, we've got family in Grand Prairie, in Edmonton, in Ponoka, and in High River. So now I can go onto the portal and say, what is the universe of things that are available for me in each of those cities, and have a conversation with my siblings about where mom and dad might feel more comfortable going. You can look and see if they've got events and dining, recreation, fitness ability, or any of the other amenities that the home has to offer. That wasn't available before. So when I started, I made a joke to Feisal that I was talking to him about this when I first met. I said, we need to Uberify this system. People are accustomed, when they go on a vacation, to going onto a website and seeing the universe of hotels that are available in Puerto Vallarta and all of the amenities. If they need to go to rental housing, they can go onto a website and look at the rental housing that's available. If they're shopping for a home, they can do it. Why couldn't we do that for something as important as the final home for our seniors? And we're managing 30,000 spaces. It made no sense. So that's the difference, is now today, if somebody is in that position where they think mom or dad might need to go to a supported living facility in the next 6 months to a year, now they have the ability to do their own surfing, share it with mom and dad, have a conversation in a way that is way more accessible and interactive than it ever was before. And if there's anything that I said that was incorrect, I'm sure Feisal is going to correct me.
100% correct.
Yeah, or do you want to comment on that?
I mean, the Premier covered it very well. What I would add is that it's not any one thing that is fixing this challenge. And if in both the Premier and I's remarks, we talk about all the different aspects that are taking place to be able to see this challenge through. The fact that we are seeing a 40% reduction in ALCs waiting for continuing care strongly indicates it's working. We've reduced wait times for those who are designated to go to continuing care that are in acute care by 65% in a matter of months, because we focused on simple things like this. The Premier is exactly right. When this file was transferred to me, I was stunned to realize that there was no system to manage the 30,000 plus continuing care beds that we manage all across this province. As a minister responsible for housing and Sayeh Housing Division, I could see in real time where our vacancies were, and they have a lot more houses than this, and where they were in the province, what the turnover rates would be to be able to make future decisions. And so this is actually a result of the work that we did internally to be able to manage the same way that has helped us get these results that we're now sharing with the public to be able to help make sure that they could have better access to the system after we did that work. I also have to say that every minister who's been responsible for the health refocusing has said this, but I will reiterate it. The most shocking thing when taking over this file is the fact that there was no proper capacity planning done anywhere. And on the continuing care side, it was worse. That every government, including Rachel Notley's government, Jason Kenney's government, and Premier Smith's government, increased continuing care capital dollars and operating dollars in every provincial budget, recognizing our aging rates. HS did not invest that money inside continuing care facilities. And so we end up with a mass shortage of those facilities, which is why we're going to invest unprecedented amounts. We have almost 3,000 under construction as we speak, but there was just no planning. And so you're seeing some results like this by being able to break things apart, to be able to use expertise that we already find elsewhere in government, like housing, to get great results, like 40% less people waiting for their places. So your specific story, it probably doesn't help them immediately. Some of the other things that we're doing has helped them, but this is about bringing all of us together to make sure that we continue to have the best ALC numbers in the country.
Fair enough. Just one more thing. So is this, will it get to the point where I'm looking and I can book it like I can on Airbnb? Or is this more of I can look and see what's out there and then make some calls?
Yes. The next phase of this will be to build our application process into the portal, and it will be for more than just continuing care providers over time. It already actually includes our continuing care providers, but also seniors housing, traditional senior lodges, which are not continuing care facilities, but provide affordable housing for fixed income seniors in the province. They're already part of this portal, but we believe that we're going to, not believe, we are going to expand to other services, like home care, in-home supports, and that type of stuff that the government's providing, so it'll be a one-stop shop, and eventually we'll have the application process in there. The difference, I think, some people in the department would prefer to get it all done. The Premier and I think different. We got this portion ready. Let's get it up, helping Albertans, and we'll continue to build the rest in the coming months.
Okay, thanks.
Thank you.
Hello, Leah Mush at Western Standard. Premier, I was actually wanting to know, there's been a few instances of canvassers for the Alberta Independence petition that have been harassed. And I guess I wanted to know, what would you say to the people who are doing the harassing? What would be your message to them?
Well, we have a lot of citizen petitions that are out there. We've got a number of recall campaigns going on and a couple of other citizen-initiated petitions. And I hear reports from all sides that people feel that they've been treated badly. I hope people don't do that. The whole process that we're going through is to engage in discussion. So I would ask for people who are on all sides of the issues to make sure that they're treating those who are engaging with them respectfully, even if they disagree. These are really challenging issues that we're all discussing. People feel very passionately about it, but I don't think that that's good for democracy if people don't feel that they can be out there, state their views, and have a respectful conversation about it. So whether it's a recall petition or the coal petition or the independence petition, I would hope that everybody would just conduct themselves in a way that you would expect in a democratic country that respects other people's points of view.
Thank you. No follow-up.
Yeah.
Thanks.
Hey, Premier, how's it going? CTV, Tyson, Fedor, just asking in regards to the Master Rail Plan study. I know that was supposed to be launched or put out, I guess, last fall. There have been some delays. We spoke with Lyricon Capital today, who's, of course, advocating for the route between downtown Calgary and Banff. I know that hinges on your government putting forward a line to the airport. Where are we at with that project? Where are we at with getting that submitted to the Major Projects Office? Because I know that's kind of the next step before we see potentially any federal dollars involved.
Well, I don't think it's a contestant really for the Major Projects Office. I know that when I look at the Major Projects Office, it's the kind of things that are hard to build and revenue generating. And I don't know if that project is one that needs to be subsidized or if it can manage on its own. But it is one of the reasons why we did the passenger rail plan, is that there were like 4 or 5 different private sector firms, including Ellis Dawn and the Hyperloop people and a couple of others, that all wanted to build different segments. And we needed to make sure that there was a provincial lens and some kind of provincial oversight so that everything would be integrated. So that's the work that we've been going through. It's just working its way through the budget process. Remember, our budget is coming out next week. And so as not to sort of preempt anything that might be in the budget, it'll be released very shortly after that.
The only reason I brought up the Major Projects Office is because that's what Lyricon Capital told us. They're waiting on your government to potentially submit that. But I guess we can take that offline. But I guess
I don't know that they need to. I mean,
Okay.
I think there's other processes that you can go through
Yeah.
for transportation projects. And you know, I would hope that they are talking with the federal counterparts on that one, because most of their project would have to be, the hard part would be built through, of course, Indigenous lands as well as through the mountain parks. And so we can assist, I think, on the integration and some of that discussion, but I think you'll see what our priorities are when we release the report in a couple of weeks. There's I think 8 or 9 different segments, and so it's a longer term plan, but it'll be released in the coming weeks.
And then just to follow up, just in regards to that project specifically, I know they envision trains delivering passengers between the two communities by 2030. That's 4 years. Do you envision that? Will that project take off if all the boxes are checked?
Well, it's complicated. I mean, I think they wanted piggyback on the CP rail right of way. I don't know if there is room to twin that line all the way up. I know that CP does not want to have any of their cargo disrupted. And so I think the vision for the project would be that they would have to twin the lines, and then perhaps the second line would be available for additional capacity for CP. So I don't know where their conversations are on that, but that's my understanding, is that it's a very important thoroughfare for CP with increasing volumes on it. And so there may be some areas where it's a bit tricky to be able to twin it, but that's part of the reason when we get the passenger rail plan out, then we'll be able to talk with all of the various proponents to check on the feasibility of their proposals.
So we'll take our last at the mic here and then go to the phones.
Hi, Bill Graveland from Canadian Press. Premier, harkening back to Kevin Green's questions about the immigration. During the Alberta Next panels, you made it very clear that Alberta is not anti-immigrant.
Yep.
Is there a newcomer that you would like to see, and what kind of newcomer would you not like to see come to Alberta?
I would like to see a newcomer have a job when they arrive, because anyone who arrives in Alberta with a good paying job just has so many greater prospects for success. They're able to get integrated into a workplace. If they have trouble with the English language, learn the language, learn customs, learn how to get an apartment, set up their utilities, figure out if they want to bring their family here. It all begins with a good paying job. And that's part of the approach that Quebec has taken. They've had a Quebec Canada Accord since 1991, where they have full control of the economic stream of migrants. And that's the kind of model that we're looking at working towards. We know that there always has to be a certain number of international students, asylum seekers, as well as family reunification. But our view is that it got out of balance, that at least 2/3 of the newcomers should be economic migrants, because, again, it's just the greatest determinant of success, that somebody who arrives here as a taxpayer first and then for a few years are able to do that and decide if they want to bring their family over, then that's, I think, the social compact that we have, is that you have to be a taxpayer before you start using our services. And we've had the reverse. We've had people who are heavy users of our services and might not even be a taxpayer, might not even have a prospect to get a job. And that's just that's creating a lot of tension in society, and that's something that we've got to address. We've got to get back to the original intention of the programs.
Do you think is there an anti-immigration sentiment in Alberta, like even relating back to Justin Trudeau's welcoming tweet?
I think it's just the volume. I think if we look at historically our diaspora, there are many minority groups who were here prior to the founding of Alberta. I think our Chinese community, I met recently with members because of Chinese New Year, and I think they date back to the mid-1870s. And so I would say that we have always been successful when we have a number of migrants that matches our capacity to give jobs and also support them with social services. And we just simply are out of balance right now. You saw that with education. Part of the reason why we have so much pressure on our education system is we had in 2022 school boards talking about shutting down schools because they had such flat enrollment. And then bam, 80,000 brand new student spaces had to be created in 4 years. And the diversity and complexity of that group, whether because they come from war-torn countries, don't speak English, or have other types of issues with delays, it has put an immense pressure, almost to the point of breaking, on many of our schools. And we don't want that to happen. We want our frontline workers to feel supported in education. We want a healthcare system that's able to support people when they need it. And we need to get back to a better balance. I'm glad to see that the federal government, under the new Prime Minister, has started changing some of those programs. But it's going to take a few years to make sure that that balance comes back. It's not going to happen overnight, but we have seen that it creates a lot of tension in society when things are out of balance, and we don't want that to happen.
Thanks, Bill. We have time for a couple more questions. Operator, could you put through our first caller, please?
Your first question comes from the line of Dan Singleton from Great West Media. Your line is now open.
Yes, this is for Minister Nixon. The new portal, wonder if you have any thoughts on rural seniors in particular who might not have good access to internet, what if that will impact them. Some people in your community there don't have good access to internet to access the portal.
Well, the good news, Dan, is for places like where you and I are from, we have great partner organizations that are also working with our senior population that do have access to the internet. And so while if you're sitting with your family on the farm and you don't have internet at the moment, this is not the best solution. But if you're in working with your family doctor, or in the case of Sundre, where Dan is from, Greenwood Neighborhood Place, who's working with seniors, they have access to this portal and be able to work with that individual and their families. And so while access to internet across parts of rural Alberta will remain a challenge, it doesn't mean that we would not want to move forward with this to help those agencies that are working with seniors in our communities.
Okay, a follow-up?
Sure.
Yeah, to the Premier, Alberta municipalities put out a release today calling on some the needs for the budget for next week. They say a lot more money is needed for infrastructure and preventive social services. I wonder, can you tell them, or is that going to be coming forward, more funding for those?
We have a lot of pressures in all places. And we know we have to invest more in education, in healthcare, in assisted living, in mental health and addiction, in infrastructure. At the same time, you can do the math on it. We lose $750 million in revenue for every dollar that WTI is below 70. And if you look at the last year, it's been below 65 and often below 60 for most of the year. So that's a pretty big shortfall compared to where we were when oil was above $100 and we were able to rack up multi-billion-dollar surpluses. So we have, I can commit that you cannot solve a problem like that overnight when you lose $12 or $13 billion worth of revenue from one year to the next. But I would ask everyone to just manage their expectations for this budget, because we need to maintain our support for core services and infrastructure, but we also have to be responsible and have at least a pathway to get back to balance. I'm very encouraged by where we're heading, but we do have some short-term issues that we're going to have to see through, and you'll see more on the budget next week what I mean.
Okay, one thing to that.
Yeah.
And Dan, I won't get ahead of Minister Horner or Premier Smith on the budget, but I do think it's important to note this government has invested heavily in West Central Alberta, recognizing its economic value to the province. You see things like Highway 27 through Sundre being completely replaced. The twinned highway to Rocky Mountain House was a significant investment. Upgrades to both the Rocky Mountain House and Sundre Hospital, the complete redoing of the water infrastructure in the town of Sundre, upgrading of wastewater facilities in places like Sundre. And so while there are tough economic times ahead, there's no doubt about it, but it's pretty clear this government really cares about West Central Alberta, and is going to continue to invest when and where we can to be able to make sure that we are a big part of the future of this province.
Thank you. And we have time for one last question. Operator, could you put through our next caller, please?
The next question comes from the line of Lawrence Tafshiro from Radio Canada. Your line is now open.
Hi, my question is for the Premier. I apologize, it's not related to today's announcement again, but given the number of pedestrian deaths in Calgary, in that the police leadership and local officials are calling for photo radar policies to be scrapped due to rise in speed. Would you reconsider reinstating them to protect pedestrians?
I have always been supportive of having photo radar where it's justified. If there's a genuine area that is of concern because of excessive speed causing collisions, causing pedestrian incidents, we have a process where the cities can apply to have that site identified for photo radar, and I encourage them to do so. We did have sort of a blanket policy that in construction zones, playground zones, school zones, those are obvious areas where there's a potential for collision with pedestrians. But if there are other areas, then they should put them forward. The worry that we had is that there were areas, especially in transition zones between speed, where there wasn't any evidence of collisions or pedestrian incidents, but there sure was a lot of evidence of high revenue collection, and those were what we were trying to root out. We don't want photo radar to be used as a revenue generation tool. We want it to be used truly as a mechanism to address traffic safety issues. So we'll work with the various municipalities to try to get that balance right. But I can tell you that we just will not go back to the kind of system that we had before, because it was pretty clear that some of those sites were not achieving the goals that we were hoping that they would achieve.
As a follow-up, maybe my question would be, do you think that asking the municipalities for specific location for photo radars adds some bureaucracy or red tape that can prevent maybe quicker access to more security for pedestrians?
Well, I think there's always a way that we can speed up the process. So I'll talk with both Mike Ellis, my Minister of Public Safety and Emergency Services, as well as Devin Dreeshen with Transportation and Economic Corridors, and see if there's a way that we can maybe speed that up. Maybe it's a policy that if there's a collision with a pedestrian, that automatically qualifies as a place that you can put a photo radar camera up. Maybe there's some tweaks to the policy that we can make to make it easier.
Thank you. And that's all our time for questions today. Thank you, everyone.